Here we are again.
Take two.
Take two. Damn. I messed that up, bro. Sorry.
It's all good.
All right, so let's go through the motions. This is Troy.
Hello.
Troy is going to tell us a lot of things that we maybe don't already know about the world of Ozempic, and he's going to take us along on his weight loss journey. And I'm super excited about it. So, Troy, I'm going to let you go ahead and just take it from here.
For the second time.
Oh, don't follow me.
It's all good. Yeah, so
Okay.
little bit of backstory. I've pretty much been overweight for the most part, a good part of my life. Always active. Can't say I wasn't involved. If I was able to play softball, I did it. Golf, I played a lot of golf when I moved down here. Job wise, I always had jobs where I stood the vast majority of the days. And then we'll fast forward all the way up to around 2016, 2017. Got diagnosed with lumbar stenosis, which is compression of the nerves and compression in your discs. I also have deterioration of the discs, and I was in a lot of pain. I had sciatica from it, which went down it went from my lower back across down my leg, my right leg. Pretty intense at times, but something I could deal with. And then in 2018, I went under for surgery for one of the discs that were pretty bad. When I came out of surgery, no pain, felt amazing, was able to walk, no problems. However, in the recovery process, I literally did nothing. All my fault. I take full responsibility of that. And because of that, I gained weight. Fast forward the next 2 years, I did go back to work. Was pain-free for about 6 months, and then all the pain started coming back. But it was far worse than what it was previously. And it was so bad. I know we really didn't discuss this the last time, but I was literally taking 3,200 milligrams of ibuprofen a day just to get through the day.
Ooh, that's a liver killer.
Yeah, because of the pain.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where there were days where the pain would have me sweating profusely. I had customers that I knew from working at Publix for such a long time, always checking in, making sure I was okay. I had one customer went to my boss and was worried, thought I was about to have a heart attack. So it got to the point where the pain was so bad, I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Sure.
So I left work, and from the time I left work, which I had a plan to try to work on things, I literally didn't do anything. Again, I take responsibility for that. My only side note to that is the pain. Is that when you're in a lot of pain and you're going through it, your mind is telling you one thing when your body is telling you something else. And there were days where I would much rather lay in bed than stand up and walk somewhere. So because of all that, again, my weight just exploded to the point where I needed to go back to the doctor again at some point and try to get this rectified.
Sure.
So we'll say about over a year ago, I've had conversations with my wife where we talked about bariatric surgery, gastric bypass, or, getting the sleeve. And I seen my mom go through that. My mom got the gastric bypass, and I saw what she went through. I saw the things that she was struggling with Even though she was happy she lost all this weight, I mean, she looks nothing like she did before. She's glad that she did it. However, there's things that she goes through that um, I wouldn't want to have to go through.
Yeah.
Um, so
What are some of the things, elaborate just a little bit about what are some of the things she had gastric bypass.
yeah, so
So what are the things that she struggles with in because of that surgery or procedure?
well, when she got it, you're talking she got it probably in between 5 and 10 years of when it started to become a thing, where people were getting it for weight loss. And she had to go through a lot. Like she literally, they made her, she had to try and lose a certain amount of weight before she got the surgery. She needed to basically prove that she wanted it to lose weight.
Okay.
She got the surgery, and then after she had gotten the surgery, she has like complications. Like she can eat food, but she can't eat, but like like
A small
like
portion.
around what you're seeing here in my fist size.
Right.
There's certain foods that she can't eat because if she does, she gets really bad
Is it like spicy
pain.
foods or something like that?
That I don't know because she was never really, I'm more of a
Oh, I
spicy
see, I
cook
see.
than she is, but yeah. So I watched her go through that, and I hear about it all the time. I mean, she doesn't go through it as much now as she used to
Okay.
because I think over time she's learned where what she can do and what she can't do. Now with gastric bypass, it's basically they bypass part of your intestines so that the caloric intake part of your intestines is bypassed.
I see.
So it basically goes right to your, you know, whichever intestine it is. I can't remember, but it pretty much it's like it
Yeah.
comes right out of her stomach, goes in, and then comes out.
To the large intestine. I think that's
Yeah,
the large
I believe
intestine.
so.
Yeah.
So the sleeve, it's just they're cutting your stomach down and banding your stomach to the size of a banana.
Or lap band surgery. What they
Yeah,
used to call lap
I
band
I believe
surgery.
so. Yes.
Okay.
So those talks we had them, frequently, and probably a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and then they kind of lessened over time because as time went on and I did more research, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this. Like, I'd rather find another alternative.
Yeah.
And then that's when, if you go to the beginning of this year or even to the end of last year, which is when your Ozempics, your Wegovys, your Manjaros, and your Zepbounds, they all started to come into the fray, so to speak.
Right. I think I remember hearing about Ozempic probably, let's see, I was still working as an accountant, so that would have been 2000, no, sorry. That would have been 2 years ago,
Probably.
right?
Yeah, but I think the commercial, it was starting to get bigger because you were starting to see more. Not discrediting. You're
No,
probably right,
I
but
just remember hearing about it through Hollywood.
right,
Oh, you want Ozempic, and I bet she's on Ozempic. I bet it's Ozempic, so it's a big thing in Hollywood.
right, which is an issue that we'll end up talking about too. Um, so if you go to January of this year, that's when Christina and I were talking about uh, trying Ozempic. What do we think about this? And I told her I wanted to do more research on it, but in the meantime, I had, over the course of the last year, I dabbled in and out of. If you go back about a year, I dabbled in and out of intermittent fasting. And then January, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing this because I like it. It works for me. That's that.
Right.
So you're talking the end of January, right at February. I go to see my doctor. We see where my numbers are, my blood work, all that. And it was full blown. Okay, now it's about, we're going to try to lose weight. As I did more and more research, that over the course of the next 3 months, went back to my doctor and talked to him about it after we saw that I'd lost some weight. What do you think about going on Ozempic? And he told me at that time, I think it's a good idea. I don't see why it could hurt you. So that would have been what? Uh, so in May is when we talked about it, and then July is when I officially went on it.
And the process of going on it was
The process of going on it is your doctor has to write out a script, and then the script goes into the pharmacy, and the script it's a month. Um, the medication is for a month, so you get a pen, you get an EpiPen, so to speak, and it has different pens. There's two different types of pens with different dosages. So you have 0.25, zero point 0.5, and then you have 1 milligram, 2 milligrams. If I'm not mistaken, it's the same with Wegovy. I can go back and check. But when you're talking about Mounjaro and Zepbound, it's different dosages.
I see.
Now, as far as when you're talking about these drugs, so to speak, you're talking there's semaglutides and then there's tirzepatides. And then there is a third one, but that's kind of, we'll talk about that one, or I'll talk to you about that one because it has to do with kids over 12.
Got it.
So
reversing just a little bit here. Is there any particular reason why you chose Ozempic over Wegovy, or was Wegovy not a thing when you were? Is it that's Wegovy? Is that, am I saying it? Wegovy? Wegovy is something that came after Ozempic. Ozempic's like the sort of the trailblazer in this field. Is that correct?
Yeah, because that's the number one when it comes to, it's more insulin based. It's based more for the people that are on type 2 diabetes or who are severely obese.
I see.
So Wegovy and Ozempic are made by the same company.
Okay.
Novo Nordisk. So basically, your semaglutides they're the GLPs, the glucose or the glucagon like proteins. And what they do is that's the protein in your stomach that triggers your brain whether or not you're full or whether it feels full. So in other words, it tricks your brain into thinking that you're full. And that's what that drug does. It inhibits that protein to say, hey, you're full, when really maybe you only ate like this much.
I see.
And it also slows down the digestion process.
Okay.
Which slows down everything going from your stomach to your intestines.
Okay.
So that's another reason why it makes you feel like you're full.
So yeah, absorption. So if my nursing thing comes back accurately, ingest, digest, it goes directly to your stomach. Is that correct? And the acids in the stomach break down, whatever food,
right?
And then from there it goes to your, other organs, your small intestine, your large intestine, and all that stuff. And right, that's where the absorption of the calories are happening. Is that right?
In the intestines, yes.
In the intestines.
However, in this case, what it's doing is it's doing all that. It's breaking down the food, but the process is much slower.
I see.
So, and then that's where you have any type of complications or side effects that come along with them. The tirzepatides, which are Mounjaro and Zepbound, they're just a protein-based inhibitor. So it does the same thing, but it's a protein-based. It's not glucose. Has nothing to do with glucose or anything like that. Okay. And that's why your Wegovy and Zepbound, or not Zepbound, Ozempic, they're more
geared towards diabetes,
yes, and obesity. So with those as well, you have other factors in that, which are when you go to get them. Obviously, when you're paying the cost for these items, there's different costs for all of them. And with that being said, if you have Medicaid or Medicare, if you're on Medicaid or Medicare, trying to get on what they call a patient assistance program is much harder, if not you can't get it at all on Mounjaro and Zepbound. You can get it on Ozempic. You can get it on Wegovy, but it's much harder to get on the Wegovy. Why? I don't know, because it's the same exact
manufacturer.
Company. Yeah, it's the same company.
Sure.
And how they base that is what they call your household income level. So you have to be below, you have to do all the numbers, like when you fill out the application, you have to put in like what you make, what your spouse makes, all that stuff. And then what you make has to be 400% below the household income level.
So that's so
So
wild.
it, fortunately for us, I was able to get on that program. And we'll discuss why that's such a huge factor, because when you're talking about the cost factor to you, to the insurance company, all that stuff, it's just crazy.
What's insane to me is that we talk about the cost of any medicine that you would need or any one person might need,
Mhm.
right? For example, you need Ozempic. It's not, I mean, you do need it. Or
You
you're,
have, well, what you have is, there's people out there. Like, I'm not going to say that I absolutely 100% need it, but what I will say is that it's helped to kickstart. For I'm going to give you my perspective, how I feel about it, which is it's helped me kickstart the process, and it's helped me start to figure out more and more what drives my hunger, what drives, the weight loss, what the things that I need to do
sure,
to like, even once I get off of the Ozempic, what I'm going to need to do, what I'm going to see, and what I need to do to make sure that I stay flatlined.
right,
Because I know that at some point when I get off of it, I'm going to probably go up and I'm going to gain weight. But that's the thing. You don't want to just say, oh, well, I'm okay with that. So if I want to continue this journey, I need to understand that, hey, this is where I need to be. But there are people out there who need it. They need it for type 2 diabetes.
Did you have a diagnosis of type 2
No,
diabetes
I was
or
close.
borderline?
I was close.
Okay,
I
all right.
wasn't borderline, but I was close.
Yeah,
And it's a wake up call.
sure.
Um, so with that, like I said, with that being said, if you ever get the opportunity, or if you ever get the opportunity, I would highly suggest watching the Winfrey special on her take on all these drugs, because it is kind of eye opening. Because it's easy for anybody. Um, we've all been guilty of it when you see somebody out in public and you're like, man, they don't need to be coming here to dinner or anything like that. But it goes even further beyond that, because sometimes people don't want to be that way. It's just extremely hard for them to get going in the right direction.
Sure.
Um, to hear about it and to see the numbers and stuff that she was putting out on this special, it was very eye opening, and that's really what threw me over the hump for the Ozempic. Because when both myself and Christina were watching it, I was like, wow, like now I understand. All those times that I did diet, that I did work out, but I felt like, man, every time I work out, I feel like I'm taking, one step forward and two steps back. Well, it's not always easy. Some people can just eat a small amount and be good. But then there's some people that eat a small amount and it doesn't register. In their brain's not registering the fact that,
Right.
hey, you don't need any more. And that's where all these, for someone like me, that's where all these medicines come into play. So just to go into all these so that everybody has an understanding of what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So your semiglutides are the Ozempic and the Wegovy. So for Ozempic, there is no BMI level that you have to be at. It's just pretty much you're close to type 2, you're type 2, or you're severely obese in category, right? It will give you a 12% weight loss over course of time. You can get this. You can get into an assistance program. Um,
Right now we're talking about Ozempic.
Ozempic,
Got it.
yes. The Wegovy, which is also for type 2,
Mhm.
um, you do have to be at a BMI of 30 plus. It is approved for weight loss by the FDA. And with that, you'll see a 15% weight loss over 68 months.
This is also an injection.
Yes, all these are
All
injections.
of them are
All of them are
injections. None
injections.
are
And
oral.
let me go back to the beginning, which is before, like 2 years ago, I was taking metformin, and metformin will you will lose weight with metformin, but not like lose.
Metformin is an oral
That's oral.
medication
That's oral, and that's for
for.
type 2.
Got it. Okay.
So again, it was something that
I feel
my
like I
doctor.
heard about metformin at
Yeah,
some point.
metformin's the more like if you take an oral, that's one of the more popular
Sure.
like board like I said, I wasn't on the cusp of it, but I was close. My numbers were close.
Right.
So that's why he wanted me to take them back then. So then you have your terzepatide. And the terzepatides are, like I said, they are a synthetic peptide or protein that acts the way that the GLPs act. It does the same thing. It's just synthetic. So with that, your Manjaros, you have to be BMI of 27 or above.
Mm-hmm.
And there with Manjaro, the dosage is 15 milligrams. So you go with your Ozempic and your Wegovy, they're 0.25 and 5, 1, and 2. Now these are much higher. The tirzepatides are much higher. So the Manjaro is FDA approved for type 2, but not for weight loss. The Zepbound, also BMI of 27 or above, those dosages are 5, 10, and 15 milligrams. You'll see, the weight loss with Manjaro is 21%. And then with,
Significantly higher
yes,
than Ozempic and
Wegovy, yes.
Wegovy.
Your Zepbound, and actually there's an actual breakdown of, I totally went past this, but so with 5 milligrams, you'll see 15%. With 10 milligrams, it's 19.5%. And 15 milligrams, it's 20.5%. It is approved for weight loss, but not approved for type 2.
Okay.
And for those two, there's no assistance programs. Then there's the curveball in all this, which is the liraglutides. And this is where I think it's a little controversial. So liraglutide, the name brand is Saxenda, which is a GLP-1 receptor, but it's specifically made for kids who are 12 years or older and 130 pounds and above. And they will see an 8% weight loss.
Also, by the way, an injection
Yes, an injection.
that, I can't get my kids to go to the doctor. I mean, it's like pulling their teeth to get them to get to the doctor for their immunizations. I
Yeah,
can't imagine, what's considered obese for a kid?
Well, not only that, but you know how children are deathly afraid of, or some are deathly afraid of needles. The one my needle is like nothing. Like you
Right.
barely even feel it,
Right.
let alone have to worry about it because the length of it is not long at all. Whereas some of the other ones, it's a much more robust pen and it's a much more robust needle that's going into you.
Ouch.
So
I just can't imagine.
right. So you have all these things, and then there's like we laugh about it. There's always the side effects.
Right.
So the side effects, the main ones are constipation, diarrhea, gas, stomach pain, nausea, and vomiting. Um, now, appetite change that's a given because
Sure.
that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But the big ones are your kidney problems and pancreatitis.
Sure. Which makes sense because those are sort of your filtering systems.
Exactly.
Liver to be included.
Mm-hmm. So my experience with it was I was getting the double whammy of constipation and the diarrhea.
Good grief.
And it wasn't fun because they had me start out at 0.5. And later on down the road, as I was, 2 weeks into doing all this, I went and did, the research on it, or I really started to do more research on it, and found out that I really should have been starting at a 0.25. So, the first week was rough.
Yeah.
Um, about 3 to 4 days in, I started getting really bad burps, which that's another thing that they don't list, but everybody that we've talked to that has taken Ozempic gets them, which are these very profound sulfur burps. So it's like
Eggs.
imagine burping the most intense egg salad.
Or
You
drinking Florida water.
I've never tried Florida water, so now
Florida water is
I mean, I've
disgusting.
had Philadelphia
Sulfur.
water. I've had Philadelphia water from the Schuylkill, but I
Or
don't.
maybe going across the Savannah Bridge where the paper plant is and it stinks like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
bad. It was pretty
I
bad.
would
And
hate it if I was like farting out of my mouth like that.
well, and that's yeah. Because trust me, because I mean, Christina would be from me to the wall away, and she'd be able. It was just so profound. It was bad, and I hated it too because I like egg salad, and now I feel like I'm tainted because I can't. But
I
anyway,
love egg
so
salad.
I,
It's
it's good.
wonderful. It's really good.
Yeah. Um, so probably about the fourth day in, uh, yeah, it was no fun because I was back and forth in the bathroom, and it was like it was back and forth in the bathroom during the daytime. We're talking back and forth to the bathroom like from 1 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the morning, or like one night it went
Oh
from one
man.
o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was just those first 2 weeks were pretty, and it would only happen like 1 or 2 days, and then it'd be done.
But still, that 1 or 2 days is like so exhausting
It
to your system.
it I hate the word. I mean, it's so violent, but I hate to use the word rape, but it raped me of all my energy. I
Yes.
mean, I was just done.
Because not only is this happening physically, but it's also got you up from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Hmm.
You're not getting a good night's sleep.
Hmm.
So like the next day you're drained and then you're going through all of this and then
Yeah, because
it's a lot.
during this time, all my pain, like any pains that I have, were up here. So I stopped after 2 weeks. I took a week off, and then I started up again. So now we're into the fourth week, and I went on 0.25. So that next week is when I went to the doctor. So I took another 0.25, and I told him what had happened. And he was just like, he's like, no. He goes, you need to stay on the 0.25. To which I did. I did it for like another week. And what I was going through, I was just like, again, and the 0.25 had me at a point where it was almost as bad, if not worse, than the 0.5. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Like it's like begs the question, how do people, is it something like a tolerance thing where you got to work your way up? Otherwise, it's just kind of like
well,
you stalemate.
well, it's funny you bring that up because that's what I'm going to get to, and that's
Okay.
what I'm wondering. And I think your body really does need to get used to it. And I think some people probably get used to things like that, and other people,
Are more
everybody's body
sensitive.
is, yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's body is different.
sure.
So I did go off of it. Christina was like, I don't want you to take it anymore. And I'm like, well, and to make things even more complicated was the fact that I did get accepted on the patient's assistance program, and I just gotten my first pickup of pens because they sent me 5 pens. So they sent me at the very least 5 months worth of Ozempic. And I'm like, I don't want to do this again. And then as the week went on, I'm like, you know what? I can't not try to make this work. So I said to myself without telling her, which is, I'm going to try it one last time. Third time's a charm, right? So let's try it one more time.
Pause 1 second,
Yeah.
please. So you said they sent you 5 pens.
Yeah.
Each pen is 1 week or 1 month?
Each pen at the very least is 1 month.
Okay.
Now, after taking it all this time, 0.25 would take you beyond a month, obviously. And it would also, you probably would still have some left over because they send you 6 needles, and then that's it. So you can't, and obviously you can't reuse a needle.
Sure.
So once you hit 6 injections, you got to go to the next pen. So I mean, I could probably take a needle from another pen and put it on, and but your best bet is to just be like, you know,
So I wonder, does it? I mean, are you getting all of the
the
like
max
what's in,
benefit of it.
yeah, the mass benefit of what's actually in the vial?
Well, well, I guess the way they look at it is that I'm just guessing, is that if you, at the very least, if you take 0.5, you'll use the whole entire pen. I know
Okay.
that for a fact.
Okay.
However, like I said, if you take 0.25 all the time, you're only going to get a month and a half out of it. Which, I mean, still, that's a lot for one EpiPen, because when you talk about EpiPens as a whole, like people who have allergies and using an EpiPen, I mean, that's usually just a 1 dose shot, and those things are expensive too.
Yes.
So um I decided I want to go back on it. I started at 0.25, and the thing that I found out in the first week is all the other side effects that I had before were very, very minimal.
Right.
So like I'd have like a little bit of burping, but nothing made, like, seriously, like and that was about it. And
Yeah.
then gone.
Right.
Bathroom issues. If I was in the bathroom one time, and then all my, because now I'm experiencing all of the pain is here, which is more gas related than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that. Second weekend, same exact thing. So now I thought I was going to be cute, and I'd go up to 0.5 again, and I did it. But this time I had more side effects than the first 2 weeks going back on for the third time. And I was like, okay, well, let me dial it back. And like, now I know that I'm getting somewhere,
Right.
but I need to find the happy medium. So that's what I did. Went back on 0.25 for the next 2 weeks. And then last week I went back up to 0.5. Now the last time, the 2 weeks of 0.25, nothing. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is really good.
Like almost like kind of scary
Like,
good.
yeah, like I'm
Yeah. What's happening right
like,
now?
where's the wood at?
Yeah.
So I went on 0.5 went back up to 0.5 last week, and sure as shit, I go and open my mouth about how up to the time I went to the doctors, I hadn't had any problems, no issues.
And
And then that night, which would have been last Thursday, I had gas issues. I had some grumbling. I think I had like 1 or 2 burps, but that was it.
okay.
So I'm like, all right, like, this is
So it's
good.
one injection a week. And
So
this was
now,
the day after the injection of
no, I
0.5?
do it on now. I used to do it on Sundays. Now I do it on Mondays. So like tonight, when after I eat tonight, I'll do the injection. I'll do another 0.5, and then we'll go. Because I honestly, like, to know that I went through the week of 0.5 was like, and I didn't have any
It
complications.
was just that little bit the
Yeah, just
next
that.
day, right?
Yeah, it was like maybe an 8 to 10 hour window where I had like grumbling, and then it was gone. Friday I was good. Saturday was good. Yesterday I was good.
When you take your injection, do you take it as close to bedtime as possible?
I usually take it after I eat.
Okay.
Um,
Is there a reason for that, or that's a preference?
it's just a preference.
Okay.
And I will say that, no. Another thing I will say is, before, when I would take the injection, I could, within like a half hour, I could feel something. Like, it felt kind of weird. Now I don't anymore. Like, it was just like this, like, weird feel. Like, you know how when you take a medicine, like, you can feel it.
Yes, you can feel it
That's
affecting
what I
you.
was feeling.
Sure.
And then the last 3 weeks that I've taken it, I haven't felt that.
Okay.
So, and then I got, at the same time, I also got the notification from my doctor telling me, look, don't try to push yourself. If you're comfortable at 0.25, stay on 0.25. If it, everything you've done to this point is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overstep your boundaries.
Yeah.
So, as far as my experience goes, that's where I was with it. Now I do know that, like I said, there's other people that have had constipation. There's other people that have had the burps. I haven't heard from anybody anything major,
Yeah.
like some of the other things, like vomiting or anything. No, I haven't heard that. It's just those key like three are like the big main ones.
Sure.
But with that being said, there are, you know, you have negative and you have negative effects and you have the benefits.
Right.
So, like,
Let's
we've
talk
already
about
talked
that.
about with the negative effects, you have gastro issues. You can have kidney damage or renal failure from it, which I haven't heard anybody having that, but that might have been something that happened in the very beginning when they first brought
Sure.
it out. Gallbladder issues, which means what they were talking about is the increase of gallstones. Thyroid issues, which with that though, that's mainly the tirzepatide and the gallbladder issues as well.
Right.
Headaches and fatigue were normal with all four. Vomiting was mostly tirzepatide, and hypoglycemia, which is also tirzepatide.
Yeah. Hypo is when your blood sugar level is low.
Yeah,
Hyper would be obviously the opposite. It would be
correct.
high.
So now that the bad things followed up with all the good things that have come
Right.
about.
Which, by the way, so glad that you've looked into the other parts that are obviously opposite the cons. So here are the pros.
Right, and
Right.
the pros, I think some of the first few are kind of, I mean, they're gimmies. So
Obvious.
obviously,
Right.
it helps with type 2, or they help with type 2 diabetes. Obviously, that they help with weight loss. And obviously, with weight loss, you have better blood pressure, better cholesterol. Although some people are skinny as hell and still have horrible cholesterol.
Absolutely. Depends on
Um,
what you're putting in your
but
body.
these are the ones that I would say probably about 3 to 4 months ago when I was really headstrong into looking at all the different ones or all the different weight loss drugs. They found that with Wegovy, that Wegovy improved cardiovascular risk factors. It also helped reduce the risk of heart failure. Um, it also improved heart failure symptoms. There was a reduced risk of arteriosclerosis,
Arteriosclerosis.
yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
cardiovascular
Uh-huh.
disease. It also helps with the buildup of fats and cholesterols and other substances that are in and on the artery walls. And obviously, the reduced risk of diabetes related cardiac damage. What they found was that Wegovy actually helps with the swelling around the heart. So that's why it's really good with cardiovascular disease
Mm-hmm.
and with cardio issues is related to diabetes. So those things right there are huge. I mean, that's something that was new that just came out that they
Oh,
found out.
absolutely.
And not that I love my doctor. I can't talk enough about my family doctor. But I don't think at the time when I was bringing this up to him, I don't think that many doctors even knew about that yet, because I think a lot of people just knew about weight loss and type 2 diabetes. They didn't know about some of these other factors that were coming out, getting out there to people as far as news wise.
Right.
So, that being said, yeah, I mean, we're going to find out more going down the line with some of, not only the benefits of just type 2 diabetes and weight loss, but other factors that pertain to
Other
everybody.
health issues.
Other health issues.
Sure.
For sure.
And
Now,
when you talk about cardiac health, that's huge. That's
it's
huge.
extremely huge.
That's your ticker. You
Yeah, I
need
mean,
it.
yeah.
Ticker, liver,
Yeah, it's
some things you absolutely need are essential. You could give one of your kidneys away.
Kind of go hand in hand. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now the issue comes back to, we were talking about the Hollywood stuff, which is, you have some of these high profile people are out there and they only weigh, like some of these women are only weighing like 140 and they want to try to lose another 20 pounds when they don't need to lose the 20 pounds.
Sure.
Or people in general who are out there that, are purely lazy, that don't want to have to do anything. Like, if you go out there and get what's I'm trying to remember the big thing you can buy, hydroxycut.
Oh
So
my
that's out there,
gosh.
right? So that when you take hydroxycut, what does that do? It
Funny
it
story
takes
about
all the it
hydroxycut.
takes all the water out of you. It drains the water basically. So
So
it's
it's,
like
yeah,
being on a
look,
water diet. Basically, that's what it is. You're on a
right.
water diet. So when you take the hydroxycut, they tell you to drink water because if you don't, you're gonna become dehydrated.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty. I took it
I
and it
took
worked.
hydroxycut. Dude, bro, I took hydroxycut like once. And remember how we were talking about, you can literally feel the medicine when it kicks in? I was running around my house, picking. Now this is when the kids were younger, there would be socks here, a thing there, a toy over there, and I would literally there'd be a pair of socks, and I remember clearly only picking up one, running to the laundry room, putting it in there, running back because I wanted it out of me. It just gave me all this energy, and I was like, never again.
It's kind of like back in the day when I was in Jersey and I was going to the gym and I was hyper at the gym, like walking, lifting, all that stuff to lose weight. And I was taking or I was drinking these energy drinks from GNC that it had the one thing in it that that was supposedly bad for you. But
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right
It's on
now,
the tip of my tongue.
that stuff, I didn't true story, not to get off topic, but true story. I drank 2 bottles of this stuff before I went into work. And when I tell you, you talk about running, I was zip zagging all around for probably like a good 6 hours. And afterwards, I crashed so hard. And they're meant to be drank before you work out.
Yes.
But I was drinking it as like pre energy drinks, pre Red Bull, all that crap. I was drinking them like that, and I'm telling you, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I basically I was driving home after I had my shift, and I blacked out. I had a blackout moment. I was like, I'm done. I'm never drinking that stuff ever again.
Oh my
But
god.
yeah, I mean, like all those things that are out there that people take or people drink or whatever just so they don't have to go to the gym. Those are the people that are robbing the actual people that need these drugs to help them out. And that's why it's gotten such a bad rap. That's why like some of these drugs aren't out there. They're not approved for type 2 diabetes, or you can't get them on your health
I hate
insurance.
that.
So that's the thing that just gets me because
Right.
they're the reason why we're
Right.
having this issue. Now there's other reasons too that we're going to get into, but like that's one of the bigger
Sure.
issues. So yeah, I mean it's just that's the part that I hate. Now, if you want to start talking about we can talk about the costs of this stuff,
Yeah, let's talk about cost.
which will blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind because I know it blew my mind,
Right.
which is so Ozempic.
Okay,
Two.
you're gonna tell us the cost
I'm going to tell you
without
without insurance.
insurance. Without any insurance.
I'll talk about without insurance first, and then we'll talk about
With
with insurance,
insurance.
and then the side note to that.
Okay.
So, Ozempic cost, and I rounded up $1,000. That's the cost. No insurance. That's the cost that the drug owner or the drug companies charge to us, to the patients
Per month.
per month. Yeah, that's a per month uh, dosage.
Mm-hmm.
Wegovy, $1,400. Manjaro is anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200, and Zepbound is $1,000. So I will just talk about the two that I know about because of my insurance. Because trying to get Manjaro or Zepbound on my insurance, it either comes up that it's unavailable or I would have to pay the full price.
Okay.
So With Ozempic, to me, it's $50. Wegovy is $100. Now, that's what I get charged from my insurance, or would get charged from my insurance, if I wasn't on the patient assistance program for Novo Nordisk.
Okay.
So for me, I get it for free, and I'm fortunate because I get that because I was available for it, or they
You're
made it
approved
available. I was
for it.
approved,
Yeah.
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 So if I were to continue to go on my insurance, I have what's called a drug cap. And I know that this is on other insurances as well. I have a drug cap. So my drug cap is $6,000. So what the insurance company charges me out of pocket to pick it up from the pharmacy is $50. But what they charge me on my drug cap or my drug limit is $1,000. So now let that sink in a little bit and think about this. If you're somebody who absolutely needs it and you also take other medicine, you won't be able to take the Ozempic
Now you're
for
like,
a long period of time.
do I take care of my weight, or do I take care of my blood pressure?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's kind of a pickle.
It's messed up.
Yeah. It's
So I
pretty fucked up.
mean, and then it's the same thing for Wegovy, which is, they do have a patient assistance program, but that's more. It's not. If you have Medicare or Medicaid, you can get it, but it's extremely tough. And also, you're talking $100 out of pocket, and then they're charging you $1,400 on your. So again, like, how long are you going to be able to take this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking, it's a monthly thing.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I feel very fortunate in the fact that, like, I am on the program. I have got a bunch that I have, that's was free to me, but still, like, it's a bunch of nonsense because here's the kicker in all of this. Here's the kicker. So while we pay $1,000, while you will get charged $1,000,
essentially somebody's paying $1,000, whether it's your insurance or you yourself.
Right. Somebody at
paying
some point is paying $1,000.
Sure.
Because also, let me go back to the drug cap. So if I reach that drug cap limit, then I'm paying out of pocket. And not only am I paying out of pocket, but I'm paying out of pocket until I get to $8,000. And then once I get to $8,000, now they're only going to offer me a discount on it, which honestly I think is ridiculous. And it's even worse when you're about to hear what I tell you. So a few months ago, the CEO for Novo Nordisk was in DC speaking with all of Congress over this issue, over the cost of these drugs and
these
why,
drugs in particular.
Meaning because he's only Ozempic and Wegovy.
Okay.
So why are these drugs so high?
Right.
And there's people that need these drugs. So why are you charging?
Why are you
so
like
high?
Gouging, right?
Well, gouging is probably not the word I would use. If I could find a word,
that's the only thing I could think of. Sounds like gouging to me.
Yeah, exactly. So for Ozempic, because these are the only two that I'm familiar with,
yes,
and that we're specifically going to talk about, the cost to us is $1,000. The cost in Canada is only $155.
That's 10%.
The cost of it to Denmark is $122.
Okay.
The cost of it in Germany is $59.
Yeah.
So we're talking a 94%,
94 point some odd percent difference in
what we get charged.
For what? Why?
We'll get to that.
Yes, please.
So Wegovy, which is $1,400 to us, only costs $186 in Denmark, $140 in Germany, And to our good friends in the United Kingdom, it only costs $92. Again, a 93 to 94% discount or difference in what the lowest cost is to us.
Correct.
So before that, there was negotiations government from the government with these companies as far as what we can get the prices down to. And before
So
I
was it our government trying to say like why such a difference, and are there actually our government's actually going to bat for us?
well, I'm going to get to that because
Okay.
the thing is that like I was going to say, so before I went on Ozempic, the cost would have been $66 out of pocket under health insurance,
Okay.
whereas Wegovy would have been $122 if before I went on it because they had just changed the prices a month prior.
But that's with insurance.
That's with
So the
insurance.
insurance would have been paying,
It might have been more. It might have
900
been
some odd
more.
dollars
Yeah,
for,
yeah,
yep.
yeah. Yeah, because what happens is they charge you. Not only are you're getting charged money to use it, but then they're charging you on your drug limit.
Your cap,
So
yeah.
so what had happened was, and now I got all this information because I read it online from a news source. I'll say it, CNN. And it's just astounding how the finger pointing goes around in circles. So the CEO of Novo Nordisk is Lars Jorgensen. And when asked and pressed by Bernie Sanders why the prices are so big, are so large, he said that it's the PBMs. And PBMs are pharmacy benefit middlemen. And what they do is they negotiate the discounts in exchange for a favorable insurance coverage and access. That they've penalized them on their profits from discounts or rebates on higher prices in the form of reduced access for patients to its medicines. In other words, patients have less access to the meds when prices are lowered. However,
That doesn't even fucking make sense, dude.
no. So one of the larger
Is this a supply and demand thing?
no, it's not a supply and demand. It's
Okay,
basically
then I don't.
it's
It makes
about
no sense. Zero.
it's about the
The
almighty
almighty
dollar.
dollar.
So one of the bigger PBMs, which is Pharmaceutical Care Management Association or Associates, says that they're the ones trying to lessen the impact on patients by big pharma. Big pharma being like Novo Nordisk and all the other medical companies that are making all these products. However,
Hmm.
the government, Bernie Sanders, claims that they have pledges from other big PBMs or large PBMs that say that they claim that they're going to maintain access to Ozempic and Wegovy if prices are lowered. So they're reiterating what this other PBM said, which is it's not us, it's Novo
So we're doing
Nordisk.
we're doing this.
Yeah, it's a back and forth. So needless to say, it's a back and forth and just one big continuous circle, which really sucks because as someone who's on this and using it, like again, coming back to something that we had discussed before, which is our healthcare system is making us do all the work, making us pay all the money, and we shouldn't have to jump through hoops just to get taken care of.
Just to have proper health care.
Yeah, exactly. What's the point of having healthcare if you can't be healthy?
No.
I mean, or be able to afford to be healthy, afford it.
It's
It's kind of like the
fucking
whole thing.
insane.
It's kind of like the whole thing about organic food and regular food.
Yeah, like you're
Like,
gonna pay an arm and a leg for something that's good for you, but
well,
you can go to the dollar menu down the street. You can still get full either way,
but it's gonna
but you're gonna spend
it's
less to kill yourself,
it's cheap
basically.
to get fat and expensive to be healthy.
And how fucked up is that?
It's extremely fucked up. Or the fact that people are out there saying, "Oh, well, organic is better for you this way," when in fact they can't even tell the difference between like an organic banana and a regular banana. Like, I don't understand that. Like, that there was a whole show called Bullshit on HBO that did that. They had a show basically all about organic foods. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree. There's just some things that are better that I think are better for you, like internally. But as far as like taste and all the other stuff, I don't see where some things will be so astronomically different than something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my other thing is I love how like you go to the store and there's organic honey. Well, first and foremost, isn't honey organic to begin with? Because I mean, it does get produced by a bee, and it's not like it's. I understand that there's some processing.
I will fall. Hey, I fall for that shit all the time. I'm like, oh my god, it's not just organic honey, but it's raw organic honey. Let's go. And I'm in, and I'll spend like $25 fucking for a thing of honey this big because I put it in my tea, and I think I'm doing something great.
Right, and that's I think. Do I think there are some benefits? I do, but I just, again, it's one of those fads and that's calmed down over the years. Like this whole, we still see it in the stores. They're still out there. I get it. But like grass fed this and that and the other. And like, listen, it's funny because when you talk about, oh, I can taste the meat, how they were, they must have been, this must have been grass fed. That's like saying when you eat an alligator who's been eating fish all this time, as opposed to an alligator that's raised in a farm that doesn't eat any type of fish, there is a difference in the meat. You can taste it. So who are you trying to fool? Like, you're not like, come on, listen, you're not gonna kid a fat kid. Sorry.
Yeah, with you.
I'm sorry. It just doesn't work out. So anyway, yeah, I mean,
I love you.
Medicare, if I can't make fun of myself, you know what I'm saying?
What are the many, many, many reasons why I love you so much? Go on.
So, I mean, Medicare's already seen a 22% reduction in the costs for people that are on Medicare. And what we're going to see come January is they're going to be negotiating more. There's going to be more drugs that are going to come into the mix that they're going to be negotiating prices for. Obviously, we know that Ozempic, or I know that Ozempic and Wegovy is going to be in there. But from what I've been told, especially from my health insurance, because when I made the phone call to ask them personally about this stuff, I was told that Mounjaro and Zepbound were going to be in the 15 that are supposed to come up for negotiations.
Okay.
So
might be some hope there.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Now, as far as
the fact that it's even a thing is weird, but whatever.
Well, I mean, but this isn't a fad. Like, you have fads like people, all the different diets that are out there. Mm-hmm. Your intermittent fasting, which is I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so you started intermittent fasting in February, right? January, February timeframe?
Yeah, it was right when I went back to the doctor. I started.
And you had lost, what, 16 pounds?
From February up until when I started to take Ozempic, I lost 16 pounds.
You started taking Ozempic in May?
It was like July.
July. Yeah, okay.
Because July, August, September, October, because that's...
So you started February, March, April, May, June, July. So in 5 months, you lost 16 pounds. Right. Doing intermittent fasting. Right.
And then...
Now, were you doing anything else? You weren't walking? You weren't doing anything that? I wasn't.
I wasn't at a point yet where I got up the energy to go and do what I do now.
Sure.
Because trust me, what I do now is like leaps and bounds compared to where I was before. Because I was basically doing nothing. Like, I mean, I would get out of bed and go sit down. I'd go to the bathroom, but then I'd come and sit down.
I just remember you being in so much pain, like a few years ago, like 2018, 19. I mean, it was crazy. Well, it was crazy. I mean, we've known each other for almost 18 years or so. I would say 2005, 2006.
We're probably close to about probably about 16
years. So knowing Troy since that long ago, I've seen him like run circles around a bar when you managed over at
Wings.
Wings. And then, I've seen you at your absolute like
Worst.
lowest too, whereas it just was just painful for you to even either sit or stand or all of those things. I mean, you have been through the mill.
Well, yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had injections in my back. Um, the last round of the last injection that I got worked. It worked wonders, but it only lasted for a month, and that's a whole nother subject because I had to do research on on that stuff because I was trying to figure out
You're
why it
talking about
wasn't
like
working.
cortisone injections?
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to figure out why it wasn't working, and I come to find out that, well, in some cases, again, everybody's body's different.
Mm-hmm.
Some people had to get 4 to 6 injections before it would actually take and last for a long time.
Sure.
So, you know, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, when I had an injection, it lasted for a month
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't do what this last injection did. So this last injection was really good because it helped my knee a lot. Because I will say too that up to probably about April and May, all like the majority of the pain that I was feeling, the sciatica and all that, was going away, and that could have been the weight could have had a lot to do with it. I don't know, but I mean, there's still a concern as far as the stenosis in my L1 because when your doctor asks you, hey, can you feel your lower extremities, that's kind of a concern. So, but yeah, I mean, it's there's been a lot going on, and so up until when I started taking the Ozempic, yes, it was 16 pounds. I really wasn't doing anything. I still feel like I'm really not doing anything, but I do a lot more than I was previously.
Right.
So after the first month of Ozempic, I had lost 11 pounds. And then last week I went for my 3 month checkup because the reason why there was a month is because he wanted to see how I felt after taking the Ozempic for a month. So fast forward to last Thursday, I went to the doctor and found out that I had lost another 18 pounds.
It's phenomenal.
And was a pretty emotional time. I know we talked about this not that long ago, but I'll tell you the numbers.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, I'm very what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, I'm upset with myself. But 3 years ago, I stepped on a scale at my orthopedic doctor's office because they needed to get my weight, and I was at 425.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke down then, and the nurse had to console me because I never thought I'd ever see the day where I'd be that heavy. Like I always look at that number as like, holy crap.
So you had never seen that number on a scale
never
before in your life,
never in
and
my
it
life.
probably
Never.
rocked you. It rocked you.
I was
aghast.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was pretty upset.
You probably like really beat your own ass for that. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So and then obviously I ballooned up to probably my worst. So in January I was at 452.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stepped on that scale on Thursday and I saw 402 pop up, I nearly, for lack of better terms, I almost shit my pants. But then when it got up to 410, I was like, no, stop.
Oh,
stop.
right. Yeah, because you initially step on and
like
it's
I was like,
yeah.
I was like that nervous dog that like is trying to figure out what they want from there. Like I'm just looking around like, oh my God. And then finally, it came back down because I think from me not moving around because I was like, oh my God. When I got off the scale and she said, you can get off, and she told me that I was at 407. I was just like, what?
It's fucking amazing.
So I sat down and pretty much this is how it went. She's talking to me about getting a flu shot, and I hear flu shot, but I'm not hearing anything else.
It's not really registering.
I'm thinking about nothing's registering. The numbers are flicking in my head. I'm trying, like, for some reason I was having problems doing the subtraction.
Sure.
And then I'm also trying to figure out who am I going to, who am I texting first and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And, hey, do you want to get a flu shot? Yeah, sure. And I'm still like trying to do all this. Well, she steps out of the room to go get the shot, and I broke down.
Yeah. Because you were probably weren't expecting that for sure.
No,
Because I remember talking about
I
before,
was
what we
expecting
thought.
about, and because when I went after the first month, and after going through all the stuff I went through, having to run back and forth through the bathroom, we kind of thought, me and Christina thought that, hey, I had to lose like anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds. There's no way. Like, I mean, if you would have seen how much I was on the bathroom, in the toilet.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyway, we went high. So when I saw that it was only 11 pounds, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty disappointed. Even though I lost 11, I'm down, now I'm down. I should feel really great. There was a part of me that was feeling like crap. But I knew that I was making progress, so I just kind of like, went along. And yeah, it just, when I think about it now, I think about 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about how I didn't do any major work to get to where I was, but I was up and moving around and sweating a lot and pushing through,
Right.
sometimes pushing through pain that, I haven't felt before.
Right.
So now the numbers, like you've heard me say 8. I'd be happy if I hit 8, because if I hit 8, I'll be below 4.
Yep. So have you, since your last appointment, have you thought of ways to make that number sort of
Attainable.
like,
Yeah, I mean, I
maybe
think,
just even like you were talking to your wife
well,
about, when she comes home from work and, maybe just taking the dog for a walk. It doesn't even have to be far.
no, well, here's the thing. And I think that, like, I was talking to somebody earlier. You saw me texting an old friend from the Wild Wing days. He's on Ozempic as well, and
Okay.
he's lost a pretty good amount too. But he's worried about the time that he comes off of Ozempic. And the thing that I tried to convey to him is, well, you just have to. I mean, you know what you have the groundwork.
Right.
Now build your foundation. For me, that foundation is the intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it helped me put a wall up saying, okay, well, after 8 o'clock, I'm done. Like, I do this 16 to 8 fasting. So it's 8 hours of eating, 16 hours of nothing. You can drink water, obviously, but no food. And all the times that like I felt guilty for eating something after 8 o'clock, or like maybe we had a late dinner and I was eating more chicken or I was eating more pork, to which my doctor's response to that was, it's protein. Like, you're eating protein.
Right.
It's
It's not
fine.
like you have
It's not
a
like you're eating
drawer
like
with chips.
another 2 pieces of pizza or anything like that. Like, it's not even about that. And it gives me that cutoff. So it gives me some stability as to, okay, this is where I need to be. Because you can ask my wife, who has tried multiple times to get me to eat or try things after 8 o'clock, and
you're like, get away from me,
like, it's hard because it's hard for some people because they snack. A lot of people snack.
I mean, I was telling you earlier, I'm a snacky
Mhm.
person. Don't let a show come on. I'm same thing, the same, routine as far as the 16-8 or yeah, is it 16-8? 16-8.
Mhm.
Where like I won't eat until like noon. My body doesn't even like food before noon, to be honest. It for whatever reason upsets me. But yeah,
Well, there's some killers for me. Like, I'm a cold food eater. Like, I'm just one of those people where I can eat a lot of stuff cold. And probably guilty pleasure or my niche, whatever, I don't know, is pizza. Pizza for
Pizza. Who
breakfast
doesn't love
is
pizza though?
pizza for breakfast is probably that's hard. Like if I know that we got, a pizza from a place that was good that I like, it's hard not to wake up at like 9, 10 o'clock and be like, that shit is calling my name. Like it's hard, but you have to somewhere along the lines you have to find the wherewithal to be like,
I got this.
I got
I
this.
don't
But
need
at
to
the
get
same
that
but at
pizza
the
right now.
same time, like to not get so words kind of slip my mind, but not to get so like crazy about, oh, it's after 8 o'clock, I can't,
Like
blah blah blah.
neurotic
Like
about it.
if you happen to have something after 8 o'clock and it's not a lot, it's not going to kill you. You just can't do it all the time, like which I don't, and I think that's where like I will say this much. This is the biggest thing I can tell you about taking the Ozempic that first week. Within 2 days, we were eating dinner. We had chicken from Costco,
Hmm.
rotisserie chicken from Costco, and some sides. I legit had a regular lunch that day, only ate the sides that Christina gave me, and maybe a couple bites of the chicken. And that was because I didn't feel like I was full. I was like, I looked at her and she looked at me and I'm like, I'm full. She was like, no way. I'm like, yeah. Like
And how long had you been?
that was like 2 days after taking it after
Shit.
2 days. Now, mind you, that's kind of as we've come this far, like that's kind of curbed. But there are times where I'll be eating something
Hmm.
and I'll eat it and I'll go, I can't believe this. Like I'm full. Like something that we love that I make and I could easily go back and get seconds.
Yes.
The other
No
night,
desire at
ate
all.
it and I was like,
I'm good.
I'm good. Like I love it. And there's that the devil is on this side going, you want more, you want more. Yeah, sure, I want more. But guess what? This side is like, see you later, buddy. Like,
What's so funny is I always have said, I would eat all the foods because I love the taste of food. If I could just, and this just sounds so fucked up, but if I could just chew, chew, chew and feel like I'm satisfied
mhm.
and spit it out, I would do that because I love the taste of food. And sometimes something, I know I'm full. My brain is going, bitch, quit eating. But it's so delicious. I have to keep going.
I know
It's crazy. I hate that.
it is, and like I said, like I try, like you were saying, neurotic. I don't like even my doctor was telling me like that first time that I told him about, I feel so guilty, and he was like, "But what are you eating?" I'm like, "Well, most of the time I'll go back and I'll get like more pork, or because we eat a lot of pork loin or chicken." He was like, come on, man. He's like, it's protein. He's like, your body needs it. He goes, you don't want to starve yourself. He's like, now obviously you're going back and you're eating like another half pound of protein. That's a whole nother story. But
Sure.
like if you're saying you're going back and you're getting like another slice or two slices, that's not going to kill you. It's protein.
Yeah, if it's
It's
lean.
protein. Yeah, especially if it's lean.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had that. I always go back to that. I mean, I'm talking about it now. I keep going back to that. I replay it. That like, look, it's not going to kill me, but I know what my limits are. I know like what I can do and what I can't do. Um, and then like on Thursday when I was talking to him, he was telling me when we talked about we were talking about what I was doing, and I said, well, I intermittent fast. And he's like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the fasting. I'm like, well, I'm not really fasting to be quite honest with you. Like I have an 8 hour window. Now, sure, could I lose more weight by cutting out certain things? Sure, but you know what? Again, this works for me.
Sure.
I've created this foundation where I know what my limits are.
Right.
This is it's helping me while I can't go full bore exercising where I can't. I mean, I will get back into exercising again. It's just right now like being, still being in pain, still being kind of limited to what I can and can't do because of certain issues. This is what works for me.
Right.
The intermittent fasting works. And he was like, well, yeah, your body needs food and your body needs energy. And he's right. He's absolutely right. But but I'm going to come back to, Atkins diet, carb cycling,
Mm-hmm.
calorie counting, all that stuff. Like those are all fads, and some, it works for some people, but you know, this works for me. And I've learned, like I said, I've learned a lot. I don't even really me from the good old days. Like I can drink with the best of the
Oh
best of them,
yeah.
but I don't even really drink anymore either.
Yeah.
I love me a good drink, but I just that could be another reason why I've lost all the weight. But even before that, I never. So I can't really say that it was.
Yeah, I know that like when I've seen somebody that has, is a habitual drinker, not necessarily a alcoholic. I think there's always a fine line there, and that's a
Yeah.
whole different podcast. But
Oh, sure.
For example, my husband, when he has taken like a couple weeks off of drinking, and he doesn't have a drinking problem, but when he X's the beer out, he can drop that weight like that. Lose 5 to 8 pounds within a couple of weeks, and here I am on the struggle bus. You know what I mean?
Well,
If I want to lose any weight,
but that's just,
I got to work twice as hard as them.
well, that's anybody, because everybody's different.
Yep.
Everybody's metabolism is different, and again, like it's easy for all of us to sit here, like, and we've all done it. Well, most of us have done it, where we sit there and we're like, man, that person doesn't need that right now. Like they need this, and you may be right, but at the same time, like you don't know what the struggles are. You don't know what they're going through. There are some people that just don't care, that could care less that they're 4, 5, 600 pounds, that don't want to. They just don't care.
That's what
But
really
there are
bothers me
people,
about those people. They, like the people that you're talking about that are cruel, that really irks me. It just pisses me off that they don't have the mindset to go, I'm probably making this person feel more shitty about themselves.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you what the kicker was for me, and this was another breakdown moment. And if y'all haven't watched it yet, I stress that somehow, some way you watch this movie, but the movie The Whale.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
That threw me over the edge because it made me look at myself in the mirror, because for a lack of a better word, embarrassed is how I felt.
Okay.
It's just, it's how people see, it's basically how people see you, how you're perceived. And like I said, we don't know. It's easy for all of us to sit here and say, well, if you just stop eating this or stop eating that. Well,
absolutely,
that's an easy thing for any of us to say. And there's a bunch of us, there's a bunch of people, not just me. There's a bunch of people out there that are going through the same exact thing. It's not just that easy. Like, sure, if you have, like we were talking about earlier, about funds, about money, some of this stuff costs a lot of money. And in the times that we're in right now, not everybody has the money to be able to go out and buy all these things that are, for, $6 for a jar of, pasta sauce that doesn't have all these additives in it and stuff like that.
Right.
And in fact, I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but if you go over to Europe, we'll use Italy as a prime example. You go to Italy and you go shopping over there, they don't sell half of what we sell over here because of all the additives, all of the chemicals that we put in our foods. They don't do it.
Yeah.
They don't do it. And sure, while they have their health issues over there, there's a reason why over here in this country we have probably the highest rate of heart disease in the world.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of statistics we could look at that the U.S. has regarding health, and look at other countries. It's like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
And we are literally, people are laughing at us. They are, people in other countries are literally, we are the laughing stock because, I mean, for so many reasons. Pick one.
Well, and like I said, it's when I watch some, I have a lot of time on my hands, so I can watch certain videos, and I watch these guys that are making some of these dishes, and I'm like, that's all like fresh ingredients.
I love fresh
Like,
ingredients.
granted, like we live, I think in our society, it's all about, it's all about speed.
Yep.
How much can we get done?
Right.
And I mean, this is a whole another podcast, but
Yeah.
it's just, there's something to be said about having home cooked meals as opposed to always going out to eat all the time and whatever. It's just, like I said, I'll come back to where I was before, where it's just not that easy for some people to lose the weight or get kickstarted or to build a foundation to work off of, because you do all this work and then you're like, man, I just can't seem to lose the weight, or I'm trying to eat less and I feel even more hungry than before. Well, that's where like stuff like Ozempic and Wegovy come into play, because it helps regulate your mind. Like it is a chemical thing that happens in your brain. It's kind of like, and the brain is one of the most powerful things that we know, because if you keep telling yourself something over and over and over again, you start to believe it.
Sure.
And that in itself should tell you all you really need to know. So
you're on here, you're sharing your journey with us, you're sharing your story with us. I'm obviously going to put this on all the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be able to, because there are people out there that are, as you know, cruel, hateful people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you at a point where you would be able to get over those comments or not live in those comments? Because you know who the fuck you are. You're going to get on there and you're going to say whatever, and you'll be anonymous or whatever, and your profile picture will be of a cat or something like that. You know who you are. But like, how will that affect you? Because, I feel like at this juncture, you're strong in your mind. Mm-hmm. However, it's still, I can see in your eyes, painful for you.
It's painful because, like you were saying earlier, like about beating yourself up. Mm-hmm. It wasn't any of my friends' fault. It wasn't Christina's fault. It wasn't my family's fault. I'm the one that makes that decision at the end of the day. I know what's right, what's wrong, what's healthy, unhealthy, all those things. And it's a matter of me doing what I need to do. So, I mean, I've had stuff said to me even last week. And listen, the people that know me, the people that are my people, know who I am, mm-hmm. Know how I work, know the type of heart that I have, and know that, I want what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
Before even your own self.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about what anybody has to say about me. Like I said, it's easy for somebody to sit there and say, "Oh, if you just put the cheeseburger down." Oh, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, thanks, Captain Obvious. I realize all that stuff.
Right.
It's been a struggle, and I've openly admitted at the very beginning, like this is all me. It's all me. Like I own the fact that I didn't do the rehab I should have done. I own the fact that I sat around. I mean, I don't use my pain as an excuse, but I always say this to Christina. I would love to trade the amount of pain, the amount of agony I was in or have been in to anybody and see how long they would last. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. I don't use that as an excuse. I mean, it is a reason why I've gotten to this point, but at the same time, like I would love to trade places with somebody,
right,
and be able to say, take my pain for a week, and I want to hear what you have to say about it, because
and see how active you are, and
because
also
there have been people out there who tell me, not necessarily on the regular, but there's people that have said that I'm lazy, I don't do anything, who kind of shush aside any type of pain that I've been in, until it happens to them.
yeah.
And then when it happens to them, then it's a whole nother issue. It's a whole nother
And
statement.
I also think that those type of people have their own battles that they're not willing to even say are, that they're going through anything. It's almost like
Well,
they'll be happy to call you lazy or any other word, terminology, whatever, while they are sitting there with some other skeleton in their closet.
right, but
They don't want
at the end of
exposed.
the day, to reiterate my answer, it's not gonna affect me, because the people. I mean, you think about it, but at the same time, it's like I don't even deal with these people. I don't even, I don't talk to them on the regular. So, or if it was somebody that were to respond that I never even ever in my life talked to,
Yeah.
I no, like
Well, and the other thing is this is not a fucking Q&A. Like, if I wanted whatever they have to say to be out there, like whoever wants to comment, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah, I mean,
just know that I am not living in the comments, and I said this on another podcast. I will not live in the comments. So if you don't get a reply to either a question that you've asked or some dumb fuckery comment, then know that it's not bothering anybody. But I just wanted everybody to be clear. It's not going to bother me. And I've had to put it in my brain because you are my friend. Mm-hmm. And like, if somebody gets on there and says something ugly, it's going to be everything I can do. But at the same time, I have to stand by my own word and promise to myself that I am not going to give that clout.
Well, like you've said previously in your, the first video,
first intro, yeah,
which is that this isn't about, we have keyboard commandos that want to attack and wouldn't dare say anything to you, to your face. And that's fine. That's one of the great things about this country. You have that right. Yeah. The whole point of this is about the your experience, not only just my journey, but other people's journeys.
Yeah.
To, because there's other people out there that are in the same boat as me, or that are interested in this particular subject, that want to know, that maybe don't know as much as, some of the things that I've experienced. Or if somebody were to comment and say, hey, I also saw this, that's great. So be whether it's going to be positive or negative. The whole point is for us to put this, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else, is for us to get out, some sort of positive vibe to let people know that you're not the only one that's going through it. Right. You're not the only person that is experiencing some of the things that I've experienced. 100%. It's basically to, like Dawn has said before, is to help people out throughout whatever journey they're going through. Right. And, I'm sure this won't be the last podcast that I'll be on. This won't be the last topic that we talk about. And definitely I'm sure there'll be topics that we laugh our heads off about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it to, obviously, and I said this the first time, it's not going to be all serious. It's not going to be all like mental health stuff. It's like, and let me tell you something. I am far, far, far from perfect. I will never claim to be. I have my vices. I have my things that I do that are not so healthy. So I'm not going to come on here and have people on here to just, talk about like, oh my gosh, you're not a healthy person.
Yeah, it's not.
That's not it.
No, and this whole thing is not about a woe is me, because it's not woe is me. Like, it's a positive thing. It's something that's supposed to be positive for, people that are going through, somewhat the same thing. Like, I applaud people that have been using it, or that want to use it, because it's going to help them with their health. It's going to help them with their weight. I implore anybody to ask a question, or if this even gives you the inclination to go out there to look all this stuff up, to become informed on it, then we did our job. we did our
Oh,
job.
100%. If we could just
So
help one person, I always say that. If I can help one person, I know Troy's on board with this. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be sitting here, to be honest. Unless we were just going to be laughing and joking about whatever ridiculousness that we sometimes laugh and joke about. But yeah, I mean, this platform is to help others and to let y'all know, once again, you're not alone, right? And
nope.
So that being said, you'll definitely be back on. I know you will.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, I'm saying he's going to be back on. I feel like you will be.
Yeah.
Because this is your journey that you are wanting to share. I want other people to be helped by Troy's journey, and I know you do too. That's the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when's your next doctor's appointment?
January.
Okay, so we're right now October. And what's the goal?
At least 8.
At least 8. All right. I need people to hop on if you're going to say anything about this. I need positive vibes and I need affirmation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even if it's not anything positive, that's fine. That's everybody's prerogative. But
I'll just come beat your ass. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Actually, I am. Anyway, all right. So peace, love, health, happiness.
Peace.
Always